Dear Lord, a word if I may, I suppose one could say, this constitutes an attempt to pray. Neither selfishness nor greed, rather a heartfelt need for asphalt angels to intercede. Please, Lord, protect us from cagers, fumbling for pagers, driving with pets on their laps, cell phones in hand. Please understand, I'm tired of dealing with this crap. Oh Lord, help me to see mercifully, keep thou shalt not kill an option for me. I shall abide if you will provide asphalt angels on every ride. Amen.
When the sins of my father way down in my soul, in the pain of...
And now, straight from the Law-Abiding Biker Media Studio,
out of sunny Yakima, Washington,
we bring you another episode of the
#1 listen to motorcycle podcast.
We're in your head.
We're in your head.
We're in your head.
We're in your head.
Hey, Bikeaholics and listeners alike, the show is still going strong because of a lot of hard work and your support, of course. Thanks to all those loyal listeners and true friends of the show that have supported us or are supporting us. For less than a coffee a month, you can help support us too and put a little fuel in the law-abiding biker gas tank to make sure this show keeps moving on down the road. So, calling all law-abiding bikers, head over to our Patreon page and take action today. You can do so at lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon, Patreon. Oh, did I mention there's benefits too? From all your friends at lawabidingbiker.com, we appreciate each and every one of you. God bless and ride safe. You ready, Jakey?
I am.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back, you freaking bikeaholics. This is the podcast for the motorcycle majority. That's right, the Big MM, also known as the 99%, Jake. That's right. It's a law-abiding biker revolution around here. Know that. I do have one question for the listeners, Jake. You know what that is?
No.
It's all right if you don't.
I don't.
This is the question. What are you freaking waiting for, bikeaholics? Mount up.
Good
Let
question.
us take you on a wild-ass ride. That's right, guys. This is Ryan Erlacher, your host of the Law-Abiding Biker Podcast and your high-tech redneck. Thanks for tuning back in. Got a loaded episode for you. I do have Jake in the house. What's shaking, Jake?
Oh, not much. Happy to be back again, man.
It's good to hear you. Good to hear your voice in the mic, and you got a face for radio, buddy.
That's what my wife says.
Yeah, so it's kind of crappy out today, man. You actually had to drive the cage today. What's going on out there, man? Because I've been looking out the window. I've been in the studio all day gearing up for this episode, and we're going to do an SOA after this. What's shaking out there?
A bunch of freezing rain starting. It's going to be a slick one, I think, going home.
Dude, you got four-wheel drive in that bad boy?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to need it for sure. This is your second time in the studio. I believe the last time you were in, we did an SOA.
Correct, yeah. I was here for...
Did we do
SOA.
a regular episode?
Yeah, it wasn't live. It was regular.
But I mean, aside from SOA, did we spit a regular content podcast?
No, we did not.
All right, so Jake's in the house for this one. We've got a lot in store for you guys. We opened with a little poem there. Hope you enjoyed that. Let's look at the show down tonight, or today, I should say. It's late afternoon here in Yakima, Washington. What is it, 4:45 or so? We're looking at the main topic today, guys, is going to be, we are going to dive deep and really, really take a look at this Jacksonville Beach shooting down in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, at Nippers Beach. I think it's Nippers Beach Grille or something like that. It was the Iron Order MC member that was viciously and brutally attacked, and he shot and killed a Black Pistons member. I have been writing articles about it. We've been following it. You guys probably know that by now. We did some past episodes about it. Briefly we did, I should say. We haven't really dove into it. And today, the announcement has been made by the state's attorney's office and we're going to break it down. We've got some evidence. We've got some releases, public disclosure releases and things like that have been put out. So that's going to be the main topic. We've got possibly get to an email here, and that's probably going to take all our time. So buckle down. People have been waiting for this episode, couldn't wait for the decision so we could dive into that material. All right. And Jake's got a lot of experience. I think he's going to bring a lot of insight into this. Got him in the studio. I'm really happy about that. We've both got a lot of experience. As many of you know, we do have years and years of LEO experience that we bring to the table on this podcast. We're going to try not to be biased. We haven't all along. We're going to try to examine the evidence, examine the video. We're going to walk you guys through it, make comments. And if you guys want to comment, I encourage you to. I wrote a whole blog on this. I'm also going to attach the podcast to it. We take all the notes for you guys, lawabidingbiker.com/63. That will be the episode number /63. All the show notes were there. Any links we talk about, you can actually look at the state's attorney release yourself in PDF format. I put it on there for you guys. And make comments there. There's already some comments. I like it. And get in the discussion. Let's see what everybody thinks to make sure we're on track and going down the right road. So why don't we start? Do you want to read this email there, Jake, if you want? We'll just do a quick email, and then we'll go from there.
Right. This email's from Graham Voss of Allendale, South Australia.
Australia.
All right.
Can you come on, do a freaking Australian accent, because I've been trying it, dude. Australia,
mate.
The mate.
Yeah.
Australia. I don't know, dude. All right, that's all I got.
All right.
There you go.
Okay, I purchased from you.
That's for me. Go ahead.
I purchased from you the HD Boombox tutorial video to try and install the navigation maps on a trike purchased in the U.S. Just thought that I'd let you know that we finally had success and have downloaded the Australian maps with the help of the video. Thank you. I am now one happy biker with my Boombox navigation working. Yeah,
buddy. Shout out Australia. Thanks. We appreciate it, Graham Voss. We really appreciate the feedback. I love it when people send me feedback about the videos. Of course, he's talking about the entire Boombox series, #1 selling Boombox infotainment system videos, popular all over the world. lawabidingbiker.com/Harley Boombox. Everything you need to know is right there. There's 3 videos. There's a video there, a free one that tells you about each video and what you can expect and what you can learn. There's absolutely could not give you more information than is on that page. Again, lawabidingbiker.com/Harley Boombox. Let's dive right in here and check. Let's do this thing about the Jacksonville Beach shooting. Do you want to do it? Do you know the history on this well, or do you want me to lay it out?
Well, I know what happened in the incident. As for the history I know there'd been a beef with those two groups for a while. I don't know a lot about that beef specifically other than one existed.
Right. So basically, I don't know necessarily that it was a beef between that group and the Iron Order MC. It's more of an overall deal of clubs, some 1%er clubs not liking the Iron Order motorcycle club, which is a law-abiding biker club. Now, you don't know this, but I actually just came off 2 nights ago. Got on Skype. Ray Izod Lubeski. He was for years. He was one of the first 8 founding members of the Iron Order Motorcycle Club. He was the international president up until very recently.
Oh, nice.
I did an interview with him. In fact, we were on Skype for 4 hours.
Wow.
2 of those hours are the actual interview, and then we were just bullshitting together. You guys really need to look forward to that interview. I just got done editing them, and that interview is freaking awesome. He wasn't able to say anything during this. We wanted the police to do, he had contacted me,
right?
But he wanted the police to do their job, and I agree. I didn't want to put a bunch of hogwash out there like a lot of these dumbass blogs out there and these criminals that are blogging.
I agree. However it turned out, we needed to see all the evidence first.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what he did and I did. And of course, the ruling's been out. And so he contacted me. You guys, that's coming up here. Hopefully it will be in December. Look forward. Really, guys, that was an awesome interview, and that's coming up, something you have to look forward to. But anyways, what we're talking about here, June 26th, 2014, at about 8 p.m., there was an innocent victim. He was a member. He was a prospective member of the Iron Order Motorcycle Club. He was with another, or close by was another prospective member. They were in Jacksonville Beach, Florida at Nippers Beach Grille. I will tell you, I do have some insight too from talking to Ray Izod Lebeski. Even more information than what we know, because it didn't really, it matters in our minds, but it doesn't really matter for the investigation, such as there were actually many other Iron Order individuals at that beach grill. They were inside with their families, their children, and their wives having a nice meal.
And he was outside with the bikes, correct? With one other prospect?
Yes.
That's what I understand. Okay.
Very correct. And so that does matter a little bit because we're talking about, did they know this was coming? Of course not.
No, or they wouldn't have had their families there.
Right. And they wouldn't have been just eating nonchalant,
right?
With their, you're well put, with their families. So they, Kristopher Stone was, he's a military vet. He served 2 tours in Afghanistan. This is from Ray. You guys will hear this on the interview from Izod.
Former combat medic.
Yes. He was. And he's actually set to deploy again here.
Wow.
Yeah. Since the shooting. So he was just watching the bikes. And anyways, we're going to go through it piece by piece, but the Black Pistons show up, they stalk them, they snake around some cars, they do all kinds of craziness, like hyenas, I call them in my blog or my article. They are like hyenas because that's how hyenas hunt. And it just, cowardly like. And they ended up sucker punching him. Zachariah Tipton, who is the deceased, he's not a victim, people. I don't like it when people call him victims. He's not a victim. He's a criminal. And he did a criminal act, and he ended up losing his life because of it. And I feel our respects go out to the family. They really do. They go out to the wife. They go out to the children. We have the utmost respect for that because we know that the wives they don't really understand 1%. And they just think,
no,
my husband's a biker, and he hangs out a lot with other bikers. And I know they do some wild boy stuff, but they don't really understand that he's out there doing such stupid stuff that could get him killed. And so, go ahead.
I'm sure that Kristopher's goal that night wasn't to go kill one of them. This was a situation that was thrust on him. So we do feel bad for the family because it wasn't an intention to have this, by him to have this happen to his family.
Correct. Kristopher or Tipton.
Right.
Zachariah Tipton didn't go to his wife and go, "Hey, thanks for dinner. That was a great meal with the family. Hey, I'm heading out. I'm going to viciously and cowardly attack another motorcycle club member. So I'll see you later tonight." Right. So she has no clue.
Right.
So they're and the only real victim is Kristopher Stone, who was brutally assaulted and beat and nearly lost his life, but fortunately was able to protect it with the use of his firearm, legally concealed firearm. So he ends up killing Zachariah Tipton, stopping the threat. And so here we are. This was back in June 26th, occurred about 8 p.m. Recently, the Attorney General, or not the Attorney General, the state attorney, came out with a statement. Now, what do you think? Should we go step by step through the video, or should we read this statement first and kind of go through the release first? Jake, what do you think? How the format for the listeners?
Is the video going to be posted?
It is posted.
It is posted. Okay. It might be. I think it might be helpful to go through the video first, honestly, and then we can kind of hit some of the finer points in their findings.
I like it. Here we go. So we're looking at the video that I made, guys. It is at lawabidingbiker.com/63. Complete video. I put a lot of writing in the video and about what happened and identifying who's who.
Yeah, I think this is the one I watched last night, so okay.
Good. Yeah, this is my video. I took the surveillance footage that was public disclosure, and then I put notes on it so people would understanding what's going on. So it's going to help us walk you through this, guys. So let's just start. Do you want to say a little bit about the Black Pistons and what they are?
The Black Pistons are basically a puppet club for the Outlaws criminal motorcycle gang. Basically means they're almost, you can almost call them a farm club, but they're going to be wearing, well, they might be a farm club or a club that the Outlaws use for various things. They wear a support patch, and most of them consider themselves, if not 1%ers themselves, they're right on that verge. And a lot of them are definitely wanting to go that way.
Absolutely. And so what we mean by a puppet club, guys, I know a lot of you know, but there are a lot of listeners that may not know. We get new listeners all the time. A puppet club is basically means they can't be 1%ers, or they're trying to be 1%ers, or they're not good enough. I guess good enough to be 1%ers. I don't know what that means, but they basically they want to ride in a particular area. And this is all the stupid little, COC bullcrap, the Confederation of Clubs, or whatever that stupid organization is that holds no power or weight, but in their little messed up world they do. And they say, well, you can't ride with your colors in our area unless
you wear the support patch.
You wear the support patch, the bitch patch,
right.
The cookie. And it's a little cookie on the front usually, and it'll say supporters, or it'll say outlaw supporters, because outlaws in their pitiful little world, not in the law-abiding biker world, in their little pitiful criminal world, control that area. They have these areas, because I thought the United States was open to everybody.
Right.
But apparently to them, there's little areas where you take a piss like a dog in all four corners, and that's your little juvenile area.
Yeah, in that world.
Yeah, in that world. So that's what a puppet club is. And there are members of these puppet clubs that want to be in the 1% club, and so they'll do acts.
And some will make it, some won't. But
yes. And the outlaws or any main club will use the puppet club to do their dirty work, because it keeps the heat off their club. And yet these guys are doing their dirty work because they're wannabes, and then they think they can impress, that big club, the daddy club, and
hopefully get picked up.
Right. Yeah. So there's a little history on that. So we have a ton of evidence, which we're going to go through. And if you guys watch the video, and as we break it down here, I think you're going to see the overwhelming evidence. Here's a little statement I make. Zachariah Tipton of the Black Pistons and other members stalk and beat down an innocent biker. That's right. Member of the Iron Order MC. He was just minding his own business, and you guys will see that on the video. So where we start here, we'll get to that particular and like I say, he did end up, because he was being brutally beaten and attacked by two bikers. He ended up firing his firearm, and I think, Tipton he shot like 4 times, but I think Tipton got one in the head. And all right, let's get to this part of the video we want to. There was recorded video surveillance, and good recorded video surveillance. It was daylight. There was still daylight out. And so that's where we get this video. So why don't you start with what we got going on here?
Right now we've got a video of the Black Pistons riding into the area, and Zachariah Tipton is the last Black Piston coming in there at the end. All
right. And I don't know how many are there, but there's a group of them anyways riding in.
Right, and then they're kind of headed one direction, and they're going out of frame here. But
look at his bike. Look at Tipton's bike. What do you see there? Can you make any? Let me back it up just a little bit. Take a look at this bike. Is that him? Yeah.
Yeah. You can see his cut on.
It looks like
he's almost riding with no hands right there. Making a gesture or something. I don't know.
He's riding a bike. It looks like it has. I can't tell if it's apes or drag bars, but it looks like it's got a little bit of apes. It almost looks like it has a Sons of Anarchy little fairing. It looks like one of those
ones.
Yeah, one of those bikes with drag bars, but yeah, that would be fitting.
It doesn't look like a touring style.
No, definitely not. Some of the others are riding touring styles, but he's not. And so they go down, I don't know, 8, 9 of them here, and they go down, I don't know which direction is which, but they go down and they park, and about 4 minutes passes while they're getting ready for their vicious assault. Now, to set this up properly, we said some of the rumors on these dumb people that, they don't. And here's the deal. Anytime I write an article, these other less than credible blogs
respond.
They do, and I trump them in Google rankings, because 10 billion times the amount of people go to my blog, which gets you Google rankings, because they want to read truth. And so it's funny. They'll put out a little article, I'll put one out, and I just trump them in Google rankings within a day. I shoot right to the top so people can't get to the truth before they find the trash.
Well, I noticed in some of the research that I did and looking this up, there's a lot of conspiracy theories that the Iron Order are some kind of group they've got law enforcement and federal agent and military backing, and they're trying to undermine the entire biking culture. And it's that might be something that sparks some of this stuff, but it's not really based in fact.
Right. Meth makes you paranoid.
Right.
And it's a sickening paranoia, and it's actually humorous to read. And even after this came out and all the evidence, they still are just like, they can't, it pissed them off more, because they're like, oh, we don't have any arguments, so we got to come up with something. So then now it's aliens came down, and Kristopher Stone got a lobotomy, and then he didn't know, and then he was actually a robot, and he was going to take over the entire Terminator. Dude, we can just.
There's no reasoning with people like that.
No, there's really not. Okay, so they park, and what we're setting up, they had their families. Remember, these guys were not prepared for this. They weren't prepared at all. Because if they're a criminal club like some claim, and they're not, you'll hear my interview with Ray, with Izod, that they were not expecting this. If a biker club is expecting a confrontation, some of the things is that he immediately prior to this, and this is some of the inside information that I have, that immediately prior to this incident, that Stone ran Tipton off the road. Okay, well, that's incorrect because the video shows he was there quite a while.
Quite a while before that.
Yeah. So it doesn't fly. And if that happened and there was, let's just say, for argument's sake, for these fools, let's just say he did run him off the road.
It still doesn't give him the right to feloniously assault him.
Right. You call the police. And number two, if he did that and he was a biker in a gang, he would expect immediate retaliation.
Right.
He's not going to go there and stand by himself and drink a cup of water waiting to be attacked. He didn't even know Tipton was behind him when he sucker punched him. There's no indication. There's not a bit of evidence. So don't believe this crap that these knuckleheads, in their mom's basement in their underwear are blogging about, because it's not factual. If there was something there, I'll believe it. But I searched and I can't. Based on the facts in the video, he was there minding his own business, drinking water. If he thought that he ran a Black Piston off the road, he's smart enough to know that is going to be retaliation. He's going to be ready with his brothers if they're a criminal club, and he's going to be ready for an attack and an assault.
And there would have been more of them out there. It wouldn't have just been those two by themselves. You're right. I mean, they're not expecting any kind of confrontation.
Absolutely. I think the evidence speaks clearly on that. So put all that to bed, guys. There was no road assault. There was no bike running off the road. There's no indication of that. The evidence shows that. So let's watch here. So 4 minutes passes, Jake, and why don't you give the audience what's going on here?
Well, at this point, it looks like you've got at least three of the Black Pistons that are going to start heading down towards Tipton, and is two at least
down
two.
Towards Stone.
Yeah, down
right?
towards Stone. And
there's three I see right there.
And they kind of split up. You've got two of them that are heading down, and Tipton behind them, and then he kind of sneaks off in a little alcove. So they're
he goes into a breezeway, doesn't he?
Yeah, so they won't see him coming. It's almost like he's trying to hide himself,
like a hyena.
Exactly right.
You don't want to attack your prey straight on. Your prey. Yeah, you don't want to stalk your victim straight on. You got to snake around and hide, right?
And this guy's still got his helmet and gloves on.
Yes. So as in the eye of the law, or a jury, and obviously what the state attorney saw, what's this mean right here? That he's got his gloves and helmet on. How damning is that evidence to show towards, towards intent and premeditation?
It's like he's prepping himself, protecting himself, knowing that something might be going down here. And as people that are bikers, I mean, the people that are listening to this are bikers. We don't do that. We take our helmets off and leave them with our bike. We don't go somewhere with them on unless there's something strange that's going to happen or expect to happen.
And the sad thing is, he wants to go be a tough guy, and he's got to wear a frickin' helmet and gloves. You know what I mean?
Right. And
you're supposed to go be a big badass, and you can't even get in a fight without a helmet on. You're going to not only sucker punch your victim from behind, just in case your victim's tougher than you're going to wear a helmet. And
you've got more of you than there are of them.
Right.
I mean, to me, it's like I said, I'm trying not to be biased, but in my experience, this is typical gang criminal mentality. They don't believe in any kind of equality or fairness. The cheap shot is almost honored.
And that's why most gang members, and we know, they've got issues. They've got family type. They want to be known. They want to feel like they belong. And for the most part, they're cowards. They don't fight alone.
No.
They fight unfair. What kind of man sucker punches another from behind? Not only did he sucker punch him, he's got two other in front of him. So he's outnumbered 3-1, and he's going to cowardly punch somebody from behind, protected with a mouth guard, and protected with a helmet and gloves. How is that tough? How is that these big bad biker criminal clubs? They don't fight alone. they don't want to lose because they can't fight alone. They need their brothers. What they're so-called brothers. They need these people. They're like a pack of hyenas, like I say, and they don't. This is not a heroic thing that you see. This is not like TV. These are cowards.
It looks like a pre-planned coordinated attack. You've got the two coming up as a distraction, and then him coming behind him, and it just adds to that.
Sorry, go.
It just adds to that with him having the helmet and the gloves. It's almost like, they're pinning him between them, and it's just a planned action.
Absolutely. And these two here are snaking around the car. These guys were seen in the video after the assault. I don't know if you knew this, Jake. They had mouth guards in. They took mouth guards out.
I read that happened, and they were seen taking them out. So it's another clear expectation. They expected to get in a fight, and they were trying to have the advantage the whole way.
Yep, absolutely. Even with 3-on-1, they still had to have all that protection. So the two, now Tipton still in the breezeway, right? He hasn't come out yet.
He hasn't come out. You got the two snaking around to come in front of him.
And all of a sudden, they snake around the cars. Now there's two out in the road, and they're walking. I mean, look at these guys. They are not walking slowly. They are aggressively walking straight towards the victim who's standing there unknowingly. And who pops out here?
Tipton.
Yep, he pops out of that breezeway. And so he's on the other side of this line of cars. And everybody is making a beeline straight for the innocent biker, the poor, unknowing Iron Order biker. So what do you see here?
Well, now you've got two more Black Piston members approaching from the rear. So now there's going to be a total of 5 heading that direction.
Yep. And look at them. The two in the back, everybody's making a beeline there. So now it's going to be 5 on 1. That's their full intent right here, isn't it?
Right.
And there's a 6th. So here's where Tipton walks up behind. You got 2 in front of him to set the stage. 2 Black Pistons member standing directly facing the victim, Stone. And you've got Tipton behind. So he's focused. Is this fair to say he's focused on the 2 in front of him?
Yeah, it's clear. I mean, it's clear. And they're the ones approaching him. So he's probably watching them all the way in because that's a threat he knows and can see coming.
Exactly. He has no clue that Tipton is behind him. He's trying to deal with the 2 in front of him. This is at the time that Tipton brutally punches him from the rear, sucker punches him, cowardly punches him. I mean, I don't know what kind of biker punches somebody from the rear, but whatever. I don't know what kind of man does that. But he punches him from the rear. Kristopher Stone goes down.
And then they begin to kick and punch and hit him.
Yes. Now I want to believe, though, because here's something that comes up. And these, again, ridiculous bloggers out there. In the report that the state's attorney released, he had a broken rib. Did you read that?
I read the rib, and I also read the broken nose as well.
What, without any evidence, give me your insight into how that may have occurred.
The nose could have possibly been a punch, but to break a rib, it's got to be a perfect punch, but it's likely he's being kicked from above while he's down.
Right.
That's my opinion. I mean, he's down and just probably getting it rained on him. And the witnesses...
So you're thinking, to clean that up, you're saying that Kristopher Stone, the victim, was able to kick Tipton.
I didn't. I thought you were saying...
No, Tipton had broken rib.
Tipton had a broken rib.
Yes, and this is what the bloggers say. Oh, he had a broken rib. He was assaulted first. What say you, with the totality of the circumstances, do you have an opinion on how he may have received a broken rib, the suspect, Tipton, the deceased?
Well, probably what happened there, because according to the video, Tipton never went down. You probably are in a situation where maybe Stone was able to start to fight back until the others got involved. An elbow strike is
exactly as soon as he got punched from behind, he elbow striked him, I bet.
Right. And that's probably his combat training or his army training.
Totally. He was trained in the military, and that is a typical strike both for police officers and military. When you get punched from behind, you use hard to soft. And what I mean by that is you use elbow to soft tissue, to the face, to the ribs. And so he probably got one blow. But all these guys want to say, oh, the Stone punched Tipton first in the ribs. No, the video doesn't show that. In fact, it shows Tipton from behind. He has no clue he's there. He probably got an elbow in as they were going down. I mean, this is a violent attack.
Right, and to clarify, it was Stone that had the broken nose. That's what I thought we were talking about initially. So
right, exactly. Stone did end up with a broken nose and other facial injuries. So that puts that little deal to rest as far as the broken rib. No, it's not a conspiracy. No, Tipton got, he got hit because he's violently attacking somebody from behind, and he took a shot himself, which is typical in a fight. Even the suspect can get hit.
Oh yeah.
So what happens now? Stone goes down.
Stone goes down, and Tipton and I believe the two brothers that were there initially begin to just rain down punches and kicks on him. Witnesses driving by or saying he was getting everything from getting jumped to he was getting beaten down pretty good.
I think some of them said he was getting worked hard. I think were their word.
Worked hard was the quote. I think you're right. You're right now that I'm thinking about it. And it's, in that situation, his life was in danger. And it's that simple.
Right. So he's getting kicked and punched. He's got no way to defend himself against three guys. How does the law look at that? As far as and we're not making this stuff up, guys. This is a broad subject.
Right.
We're not going to say that it's cut and dry on self-defense. But what we are going to tell you, each case has to be evaluated, and we have to do it all the time because we go to fight calls. We have to evaluate many, many things, as will the jury, as will a state attorney. I'll just start by saying one of those is 3-on-1.
Right. I think that, the crux of a lot of these issues are for people is they always talk about unarmed. Somebody was unarmed and they were shot. What this comes down to is a person in most states in this country, and Florida has a better stand your ground law than a lot of states, but in most states and pretty much everywhere in this country, you have the right to use deadly force to defend yourself, your family, or somebody you're with, as friends or whatever, against deadly force being used against you or the risk of a serious bodily injury. It doesn't have to be a weapon. It could be anything from a gun to being outnumbered 3-1, even outnumbered by a person who can outfight you, and you know it. You have the right to defend yourself. You don't have to sit there and take a life-threatening beating.
Right. And to add to that, the whole deal is it doesn't matter about the gun and anybody being armed. You can kill somebody with, a throat punch. I mean, if you know how to do it and you do it properly, he doesn't have to be armed. The suspect doesn't have to be armed with a knife. If he's a known MMA fighter, world champion, and he comes up against you and you have that knowledge is everything in self-defense, and the subjective intent of the victim. What was his understanding of the situation? This is what the court looks at, guys, not the objective. The objective is part of it, and that's him physically. We can see he's getting assaulted. What is going through his mind?
What does the victim think's going to happen to him?
Yes.
Because there are people, honestly, in my job, as in law enforcement, where if I was attacked by them and they had absolutely no weapon, they could kill me with their bare hands. I've been up against that. You see it, and you in those situations, your deadly force is going to come into play. And I've luckily haven't been there, but there's been people that I've dealt with that had that potential had they decided to employ it.
Well said. To add on that, yeah. So the MMA fighter, right? And you have that knowledge and the subjective intent, and the problem with this is people don't understand. They don't care that he was unarmed. They don't care. What they care about, and what I care about, and I think you'll agree, is when somebody is assaulting you, if you allow that individual to assault you and you become incapacitated, it is a deadly situation. Correct. Not even just for law enforcement, for anybody like this individual, because once you're incapacitated, and this guy knows, he's trained, he knows as a combat medic, he says that in his testimony, in his statement, that if I know what kicking to the head can do to an individual. He has experience. If you go unconscious, you are dead, because then they can take advantage. They can do anything they want to you.
And you don't know what that's going to be. Maybe they'll leave, but you can't bet your life on it.
If you do, you're a fool.
Exactly right.
And I will not. And here, Jake, in this particular situation, I absolutely applaud the victim, Kristopher Stone, for withholding, for the patience.
As long as he did.
Oh, I'm telling you, he could have shot way before. And I'm telling you that there are a lot of us, based on our knowledge, a 1%er, we know the lifestyle. We know that kind of stuff. There will be no chance to hit certain people if 3 1% criminals, regardless if they're in bike clubs, if we know there's 3 felons, criminals, and they claim a criminal lifestyle and it's well known that they don't like police or any individual, they surround you, there will be no waiting to shoot or be punched for the first time because there is too much risk in the loss of life if an individual waits. So we're not giving legal advice.
True.
What we're saying is Stone didn't necessarily have to wait at all.
No, I think that based on what is known, the aggressive nature of what was going on, and especially had he seen Tipton coming, he could have shot those guys before they touched him.
Exactly my point. So if anybody says, he just shot because that is not the case. This individual, I absolutely can't understand how much restraint he held to be beat and kicked for 10 seconds. Of course, we're not second guessing him. Right. Because he got sucker punched from behind. He didn't know.
Correct.
I'm saying if he would have known, even the 2 in front,
right? Even
if you draw down, a lot are drawing down on him and going, you take one more step towards me, you're a dead man. And,
correct.
And you want to get ahead of the game. And that's exactly what these attorneys and courts will look at. And the greatest thing about this or 1% clubs is they wear that for us. Thank you for putting a 1% patch because everybody knows what that means. The courts know what that means. The attorneys know what that means. Police officers know what that means. I really appreciate it.
Even the public knows what that means,
right.
Really.
Yeah,
and they've seen Gangland.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for letting us know. I really appreciate to know what type of individual you are. So that's clear here. They're walking up in their cuts and stuff. And so, yeah, the whole self-defense thing, you don't have to wait till you get hit. It depends a lot on your knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah. And I think that in this country, there is a colossal misunderstanding of when a person, even especially police, but when somebody can use deadly force, let's say a firearm against somebody, there's honestly people that believe that cops can't shoot someone unless they're shot at first.
Right.
And that's the farthest thing from the truth that there's ever been. But that's where you get all this misunderstanding. And in this situation, he's not, on duty as a police officer or even as a soldier.
Right.
But you're looking at a situation comes up where there's, the guy didn't have a gun, so he couldn't shoot him. That has no bearing on it. If his life was in danger or he was in danger from serious bodily harm, he can employ that kind of force.
Absolutely. And so just know that, guys, we aren't making that up. That's a fact. Doesn't matter if you like it. That's the way it works in the United States. You don't have to wait to be shot at. You don't have to wait to be assaulted. You don't have to wait to be killed. That would make no sense at all to the normal person. So he ends up, and here's the other point I want to make, Jake, is people think, we shoot to kill.
We shoot to stop the threat.
Thank you. And what happened here? He stopped the threat.
Yes, he did.
Okay. He shot him. He didn't know if he hit him in the head. He doesn't know. Tipton goes down. He rolls him off of him. He doesn't even know where he shot him at this point, but he knows the threat's done, and he knows all the other guys are running like little scared girls.
Yeah, it probably took him a while to realize that, honestly, in the situation.
Right.
But yeah, they did run. They didn't want any part of that.
In fact, Stone was so feared for his life in this situation. He told police when he stayed, cooperated, and you're going to learn that in the interview I did with Izod. They call the police. They don't run from scenes because they know what they did was right. They didn't bring it on.
And he provided the weapon when they were asked, even though he did hand it off. There was a lot of
about that.
There was a lot of conspiracy, I guess, theories behind that as well. Saying, well, if he didn't think you did, pretty much, I guess I should go into history. I'm sorry.
Please.
What happened when this incident was over and he had shot Tipton dead and Tipton's brothers had run cowardly away, Stone gave his gun to a fellow Iron Order bike club member.
The other prospect.
Yeah, the other prospect. And the reason he did that is because he knew the cops were coming. And he knew that there was a report of shots fired and that you had a person down. And I guess he was afraid, and rightly so, that when the cops get there, they're coming out guns drawn. They're ready. They're going to be ready to roll. And they find a guy with the gun. They probably already know he's the one that shot him based on suspect description. He's thinking of all those kind of things. And he doesn't want to be in a situation where they might shoot him.
Smart.
And so that's why he does that. But once they get there and they're able to kind of explain things and interviews, they start to talk to him, that's when, okay, this is where the gun is. We're going to give it to you. Not a problem. They cooperated the entire time.
Absolutely. He had every right to give that to a brother. So when they got there, he could put his hands up and say, I'm the shooter. I'm unarmed. He's smart. He's in the military.
I'll guarantee you they handcuffed him at the scene. I'll guarantee it. And just not having that gun probably de-escalated the police very quickly to the point where it could have prevented further problems.
All the way through this, Kristopher Stone, he's a bright individual.
Right.
I mean, the way he handled everything is just unbelievable. And to do that, to know, to have the experience that you don't want to be armed, and to give that. Here's the deal. And all the naysayers, the very few naysayers actually, if he wanted to not have the police involved or didn't want, to show what happened, and he was scared of what he did, he would have ran like the Black Pistons, like scared little girls.
Right.
He would have did what the Black Pistons did to their brother, which is come back to your dead brother. And this is fact, guys. This is fact.
They took something from his body, and you and I both have
How did they do that? Bring the history. So after he's dead, they all leave.
They leave.
A couple come back, and what do?
They take something from his body. There's a lot of speculation as to what that was, but nobody ever they can't prove it because nobody will tell them. But it was, I think, based on the totality of everything we have, it was clearly a gun.
And the totality is, let me say, they wrapped it up. One of them took their vests off, the club members. Mm-hmm. They took something off his body. They wrapped it up in a club, and then one of them wraps it up in the vest, hands it to another club member, and they take off. But what's the totality? Why do we believe that's a gun? What was found on him?
Okay, because on Tipton's person, they find 2 9mm magazines with hollow point rounds and an empty holster. Who carries around an empty holster with extra magazines?
There was a waistline.
Gun, right, there was a gun there at some point.
Yes. And that's exactly it. We know that. Any normal person knows that. They didn't grab a Christmas card off his thing so they could deliver it to his wife and wrap it up in a vest and then quickly hand it to another club member.
They clearly took something off of him that was illegal. And, if he would have had a gun, he would not have been carrying it legally concealed.
And see, they didn't. I don't know that they completely knew he was dead.
Right.
It's a really chaotic situation. Although they shouldn't have left him there, they knew he was shot. That's not what brothers do to each other. But I think they're thinking, shit, if he lives and he gets arrested, he's going to have a gun on him. Right. Felon in possession of a firearm. And they were basically trying to protect his criminal record. They're so stupid that they didn't realize he's got a bullet in the back of his, it went up. It was a shot from, it doesn't say this in this report, Jake, but I have further records that I've looked at. It was a shot up. I think it went through the back kind of the skull. So it was very clear from the autopsy that it was shot from the ground up. It entered here. So they may have not seen that. And actually they have the bullet. This is a lot of information people don't know. They recovered the bullet. It never went through the top of his helmet. It went up through the back of his head, through the top of his skull. It buried in between the helmet and his skull. So they know that bullet came from Stone's gun. There's no,
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And so it's clear, I guess, that from that particular video that they probably did, remove that gun from him, wrap it up in a vest. And that's where that little, I guess what people are talking about as far as what was being removed. I think it's fair to say it's a gun.
Right. And but not Stone's friends, but Tipton's friends aren't saying what they took. They won't even admit that they took anything.
Right. It's on video, guys.
But it's on video. It happened. So, I mean, yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
No, not at all.
And the video's here, guys, and we encourage you to watch it. So after this is almost the saddest part that I want to get out for a lot of people out there. The allure of brotherhood in these criminal clubs and Sons of Anarchy, it's a show. It's not real. We podcast on it because it's fun, because it's so fun and it's so far from reality. It lets us escape reality.
Exactly. And that kind of club could not exist for long in real life. They would be taken down so fast.
They would, and
but
they'd all be dead.
It's fun to watch. It's like The Shield,
Yes.
We're law enforcement officers, but we know we can't do that. It's a fun thing to watch and talk about.
Yes. And I'll tell you that this allure of brotherhood that a lot of people see, these TV shows about criminal bikers and gangs, It doesn't work like that, guys. Here's how it works. Watch the video. What happens is these gang members are all tough in a group, brutally beat somebody, stalk them like hyenas. Then, oh shit, one of their members gets shot. They leave him to die by himself. These are brothers. These are right? Don't 1%ers say that? Where it's a brotherhood. It's a tight, we care for each other. No, they don't.
And they say that the brotherhood's above everything else. Everybody else is a citizen. They have no rights. It's all about the brothers.
It's all about brotherhood and taking care of each other. Okay. I've never left a brother to die on his own.
No.
It's unimaginable to me that you could do that. But this is exactly, they're no different than any other criminal in the world. They just wear a leather vest.
It's typical of gang culture. We see the same thing with we have a lot of Hispanic street gangs around here. And when there's some kind of shooting, not necessarily that law enforcement does, but anybody else, they scatter like flies. They're gone.
Absolutely. They're no different than a thug street gang. They just wear a leather vest and ride a motorcycle. And it's clear on this video. I'm glad videos are out there like this, because I can steer people towards it and goes, if this is the brotherhood that you think you want with a criminal club, is this what you really want? Is that sexy? Is that like Hollywood? No, it's not. They left him there to die alone. They run like scared little girls with no concern for him whatsoever. And same with street gangs. They do the same thing. They all run and he dies there alone in the street. That's not how you treat a so-called family member. So don't believe the allure of these clubs. They're not going to take care of you. They're not going to take care of his wife and children who don't have a father now. It's not like that. It's not sexy, guys. This is real street thug type stuff, and how you can expect to get treated if shit hits the fan. They'll be your brother as long as it's convenient for him.
And when they do come back and they have the opportunity to maybe stay with him until you have some law enforcement arrive.
First aid, maybe? First aid? Yeah.
They just take something from him and then leave.
Right. More concerned about his criminal record than his life. So reality check, guys. Reality check on that type of lifestyle. And you see these guys running like scared little girls, waving. If they had done nothing wrong, they would have stayed like the Iron Order. None of them ran. None of them did anything. They stayed and cooperated with the police. And you'll hear that from Ray. That's ingrained in them in their club, that's what they do. They're not going to bow down to anybody, per him. They're free to wear colors. It's the United States. But at the end of the day, if something happens, they're going to protect themselves, as any biker, law-abiding biker would, I hope. And I'm going to protect, myself from anybody, not even a biker incident. I'm always packing, and, that's just the life it is right now. And we're going to be prepared for any incident at any time that I need to be prepared. So, and they stayed and contacted the police and all that. They were seen taking off mouth guards. We talked about that.
I did.
Then they all leave. Not one of them sticks around for Tipton.
And they have not been cooperative with police the entire time.
I don't believe that, Jake. Where'd you get that? All right. So let's finish this video and make sure we didn't leave anything else, and then we'll dive into the statement a little bit. So look at this guy. Look at scared. Look at he's sidestepping down the road right in the lane. Like, come on, guys. He's got a white bandana on. Come on, come on. Now, I will tell you, I asked the question, why did the prosecutor or the state attorney not file charges on the other two that were brutally assaulting him? Answer is they still have neglected to identify. They can't identify those two. It's a good video,
right,
as far as what happened, but to actually see perfect faces running away, they aren't able to establish that.
And the only reason you really have good video on Tipton walking up is because when he goes under the breezeway, you get a different angle on him.
Exactly.
And you can see him. These other guys didn't go that sneaky way.
Right. And we do have eyewitnesses to corroborate the video evidence. Okay, This isn't just the video. So if you guys watch the video and you go, well, it's just a little bit blurry at times. Okay, doesn't matter. The witnesses that were right. Did you see this bikes parked here, Jake?
Right.
They were parked right in front, like a female and a male just staring at it like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, they were probably worried about this guy thinking that he was going to get killed, getting his butt beat.
Right. And there's some of the main witnesses that were like, yeah, they were freaking
working him hard.
Yeah, working him hard. Okay, so here's some facts, guys. This is facts. Do you want to go back to are we good to go back to the PDF now?
Yeah,
and
so.
The actual state attorney's release. Why don't you start in and we'll just stop when we need to and talk about this. This is the actual release from the state attorney, and it was released on this happened on June 26th. But we'll actually talk about, I think it came out or November 7th or something like that. Briefly, before we get into the actual release, I want to tell you, Jake, it's my belief that somebody, I don't have evidence of this, nor does it matter in the end game, because it's still, regardless of what happened, period. Even if you want to say, even if you want to make something up like Stone was like Mission Impossible and he rappelled down a wall on top of Tipton's house and pooped on his roof and left. Okay, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. At that point, Tipton's responsible if he wants to be a law-abiding biker system, you call the police. Hey, this guy just rappelled down and pooped on my roof. Okay? You let the police deal with it. It doesn't matter. You don't have a right to go brutally assault somebody. So even if you want to make up your stupid stories and your stupid conspiracy theories, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because you can't go brutally attack a guy and sucker punch him from behind and have 3 other guys with mouth guards and I will say he had brass knuckles in his pocket.
Yes.
Again,
and a knife or 2.
Yes, illegal. Can't carry brass knuckles, guys. They have no good purpose in this world. It's a law in most states. You can't carry brass knuckles. He had those because he wants to win and he wants to brutally assault people. He's responsible, as I was saying, to call the police if you want to believe any of the conspiracy theories. So I want to throw that out real quick, and the fact that he did have brass knuckles. More intent, wearing a helmet, wearing gloves, brass knuckles, holster, 2 magazines, hollow points. He had no good to do that day. Let's get into the state attorney's release. You can get it at lawabidingbiker.com/63. I'll start, Jake. Kristopher Stone, he was 5'11", 209 pounds. Zachariah Tipton, the deceased, was 6 foot tall, 242 pounds, so outweighed him by about 30 pounds. That's something that juries and also state's attorneys will take into effect. Not only 3-on-1, but he's also bigger.
Outweighed.
Yep. We know the Beach Marine was located in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. We know it occurred at 8 p.m. Let's skip down here.
And it's good to point out that Stone did have a gun, but legally carried it, was not drinking.
Thank you.
Was drinking only water. It's technically part of his, from what I understand, it's part of his prospect status with the Iron Order. He wasn't allowed to at that point.
That is correct.
But regardless, he was not drinking and he was legally carrying a weapon. Mr. Tipton was a convicted felon. We can't prove he had a gun, but I guess you're comparing the 2 types of individual that showed up there.
Yes. And so you're right. Tipton had a criminal record, a long history of criminal behavior.
Was intoxicated from the tox report, correct?
He was drinking. He was a .04.
Okay.
So he had alcohol in his system, had marijuana, cannabis in his system. And Kristopher Stone was drinking water. There's no indication that he was intoxicated. Officers made no note that there was alcohol in his breath. He was in fact drinking water. He wasn't stoned. There was no indication, stoned, I should say, or high. There was no indication or reports from officers that was the case. So you've got a bigger guy. He's got alcohol in his system, cannabis. He's got, it makes for bad decision making. So good point. Very, very good point. Let's say, for argument's sake, Jake, let's just say that they found that Stone let's say he was the legal limit.
Right.
Does it matter?
In this situation, it wouldn't.
Right. Who cares? I don't care. In the other conspiracy theories, Jake, is some of these stupid bloggers. Oh, well, they didn't test him. Do you know how many military people abuse prescription drugs and they didn't? I don't care if he was on frickin' Oxycontin and he took 10 pills before he was there. It doesn't matter. In
some states, if he was intoxicated, he might be facing getting jammed up a little bit
for the gun.
A misdemeanor for having a gun in that state, but he still has the right to protect himself.
Yes. So stop the conspiracies, you morons. It doesn't matter. If you want to make up that he was drunk, great. I don't care. I still have the same opinion. I don't care. He can defend his life. And that's not going to constitute any change in what this state attorney would have agreed. Like Jake says, maybe get jammed up on a little gun charge, but he still has a right to defend his life. So let that craziness stop. All right. So I guess that's pretty much the whole release. Is there anything else you want to talk about on that release?
I guess not specifically, other than, you can tell by the fact that, the injuries that Stone had, and the fact that, he actually had urinated. I mean, this isn't a normal thing that he was used to. I mean, he was hurting.
Yes.
He thought he was going, and that was, I think, made clear through the evidence, and it was noted in this statement. I mean, in the opinion by the attorney.
Right. They took a statement from Tim White, who's a prospect, the Iron Order Motorcycle Club. He was the other guy there.
Right.
He was standing only feet away when Kristopher Stone was attacked. He was outside by his motorcycle when some Black Pistons approached him and told him to leave. He told Black Piston members he would not leave, after which they knocked the water he was drinking out of his hand, and he and the Black Piston began to fight. They fight until they hear several cracks, and the guy he is fighting lets him go. He sees Kristopher Stone with blood on his face and urine in his pants. We're going to talk about that. And Tim White yells for help. This particular prospect yells for help. He says Kristopher Stone had a blank look on his face, and a member of the Black Pistons went up to Zachariah Tipton after he was shot. When the police arrived, he went up to the police and told them what happened. Police immediately reviewed the video and found the witnesses to be consistent with the events depicted therein. We go back to corroborating evidence, guys. The video alone doesn't do it, but with the video and the corroborating witnesses, it's 100% sealed. There is no argument for it. I want to talk quickly about him urinating himself. What does that show, Jake? Here's a guy who's been through 2 Afghanistan tours and is a military combat vet. What does this say about him?
Fear. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. And it doesn't make him a coward.
No.
I know that, I watched the news footage of after it was done, and I mean, they actually came on and said he peed his pants, like almost like it was. That might not have been in their intent, but it's almost like they were trying to make it look like he was. He does not make him a coward. This is the body's reaction to being under that kind of high stress and that kind of danger.
Yes, and I tell you, I have experience with it, Jake. I have seen the toughest felons when they get jammed up on something and they know they're heading to prison on their 3rd strike. I've seen them shit their pants.
Oh yeah,
they do. They defecate in an interview room. So you guys got to understand, when you're in that much fear. And you're in that much fear of what your future is or your life, you don't have a choice. You may piss yourself, you may shit yourself. It means nothing. What it means in this case,
you go into survival mode, and those functions, bodily functions, no longer become a priority for your body, holding that back.
Perfect. And that's exactly what happened here. Don't think you won't do it if you're ever in that situation, because you're a fool. That is the body taking over. The only thing that shows in this case is how fearful he truly was for his life. That's the studio dog. And Buddy, he just got up off the couch. He leaped about 10 feet, and he's headed for the door because apparently somebody's here.
Guard dog.
All right. Good job, Buddy. Good job. All right. Let's wrap this up. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I guess for me, no. I think we've kind of gotten our opinion through on the fact that...
I don't know if it's our opinion, though. It's facts.
You're right. We've gotten the point across. I think that's a better way to put it. This is cut and dry in my, I don't see how it can be argued. There are some people there will be no reasoning with. It's always a conspiracy. But, I mean, this is with the evidence. I mean, over 200 witnesses were interviewed.
Yes.
And none of those witnesses are really giving any evidence that points another way that this went. And when you get those statements and then they match the video, like you said, it's sealed, signed, sealed, delivered. It's a done deal.
There is no argument for any intelligent person. There just isn't, guys.
And this poor victim, Kristopher Stone, not only was he victimized that night, he continues to be through everything from social media to he's probably getting threats through these other clubs, these other the Outlaws and the Pistons. Still, his life will never be the same. He didn't go to that place that night hoping he was going to get to kill someone. This was the last thing, and I mean the poor guy, he's still being victimized, I'm sure.
Yep. And God bless him for serving this country. And not only after this, he's done 2 tours, he's going back for another tour per Izod. Thank you, buddy, for serving. I mean, that's amazing.
Exactly.
He's
seen a lot of things none of us will ever see, and I hope he can continue to do well.
Yep, we've got witnesses here. We've got a bunch of witnesses in this release statement. They saw Tipton involved in a fight. We've got like 6 or 7 witnesses. There was 200 witnesses to who was there and who was inside Nippers, but there's actually 6 or 7 here that are actual firsthand eyewitnesses that watched him, and they're all consistent. They say what's on the video. Stone says what's on the video. Tim White, the other prospect, says what's on the video. There just was nothing here to lead police to believe that anything but what was depicted on the video happened. That's how tight this case is. That's why the attorney, state's attorney came out and made this little ruling. Real quick, I want to wrap up, Jake. I, in my mind, truly believe, based on all the evidence, and again, I'm just going to tell you guys, I don't have any evidence of this, so I'm not saying it's true. But with my experience and what I see and what I know, I believe deeply that somebody in the bar, that there's somebody that works at that bar, and I've seen it happen, Jake. They are friends because I'm telling you, Black Pistons used to go here. Okay? They frequented this place, Jake. They were friendly with the people that worked inside there. And I believe that somebody called the Black Pistons and is friends with one of them and told them who was there and gave descriptions, which is why they came racing in there and did what they did. What say you? Is that plausible at all? I'm not saying it's true. I'm not that kind of guy that starts rumors, so it's not a rumor, guys. Now we're done with the facts. I'm just saying I believe there may have been a little bit more to that. It doesn't matter at the end of the day, because she or he that called is still not responsible for what happened. But it just looks so weird that they knew that.
I agree with you. I think that it's clear from what you're seeing. Now, you're right. There's no specific evidence that points that way.
Right.
But these Black Pistons did not just show up there randomly. They came there specifically for a purpose. And I think that is clear from the video evidence and everything that we're seeing. Now, whether somebody else saw them driving by and called, that's a possibility. But somebody knew they were there, and they came there with a specific purpose. It wasn't a random, they didn't just randomly drive by and say, oh, shit, these guys are here. We got to stop and kick their ass. No way.
Right.
They were going there for that purpose.
Yep. Somebody freaking...
Because it would have taken them longer than 4 minutes after they parked to walk over. They would have talked about it. They would have made a plan. They had their plan before they got there.
Right. They may not have had the proper gear. They might not have had their mouth guards. I mean, this was something where they got a call, they left, and they went on their little hyena mission. All right, guys. Really appreciate you tuning in. I know that was a lot of information, but we wanted to wrap that up and really put hopefully put light to what's going on here. And again, if you guys want to see the notes and you want to get the actual state's attorney release and see the article I wrote and the video, lawabidingbiker.com/63. It was really nice having you in here, Jake. You put a lot of insight into it.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Absolutely. And all right, guys, don't forget, coming up, very excited. We've got the really awesome interview. I call it the interrogation of Iron Order MC Ray Izod-Lebowski, who was one of the founding first 8 and the international president for many, many years. You'll definitely want to look in, because that will ride right on the heels of this particular episode, and we'll get more insight what they're all about and why maybe that they are unliked by criminals more than other law-abiding biker clubs. We really get in. I ask the tough questions. It's not just a little hobnob session. It actually, we have a lot of fun, but I also ask them some real tough questions with some of the pictures I see on the internet, some of the controversy surrounding their club, and I want the real answers, and I want the real answers for you guys, because I have gotten emails from other law-abiding bikers that are asking about what they see with them, and I'm real hesitant to comment on anything until now, because I heard it straight from the horse's mouth. And I think you guys will have a lot of fun with that particular interview. Don't forget, Law Abiding Biker Podcast Hotline, 509-731-3548. Take action, guys. It's the holidays. If you want to help us out at no additional cost to you, you can head over to lawabidingbiker.com/Amazon. Bookmark it. Call it Law Abiding Biker, Amazon bookmark or something. Any purchase you make after that, we get a small kickback. Again, no additional cost to you. Please take action. Only take you 30 seconds to bookmark that. Anything you buy from Amazon. It helps put a little fuel in the law-abiding biker gas tank so we can keep heading on down the road. All right, guys, peace out. Keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up. What are you waiting for, bikeaholics? Get out there and freaking ride already.